look to the member on the front row there.
So first of all, thank you for coming here. It's a pleasure to hear your talk. Pendency of cases is a big issue in India, and especially in cases like the Negotiation Instruments Act, where it's a relatively easy case with clear-cut evidence. These cases often take like more than 10 years for the judge to give a ruling. This is often because of delay tactics employed by the lawyers and so on. So, like in this environment, it's very difficult for the local businessman who has his payment pending, for example, to conduct business, and it puts them in a very desperate situation. So, what can the judiciary do to improve this and to just make the situation better for the local people?
Well, your question could probably consume an entire evening for us to find answers, but I'll give you some bullet point changes that we have, which we have made. The first is that the judge to population ratio in India is amongst the lowest in the world. We need simply more judges to adjudicate upon cases, and we are engaging with the government to increase the strength of the judiciary at all levels. Point number one. Second, we are trying to ensure that cases, that positions in the judiciary are not unfilled for a long period of time, and that the moment there are vacancies in the judiciary, that these should be filled up, beginning with the district judiciary and going up all the way to the Supreme Court of India. Third, I think the whole issue about judicial backlog is something which is not just of concern to the judges, but to the rest of society as well. Very often you would find that when a law is enacted, that law is enacted without a legislative audit of the impact on judicial infrastructure. Now, the law that you just mentioned, namely the check bouncing cases, the dishonoring of a check was essentially a civil dispute earlier, which was converted into a criminal offense. Now, what has happened, therefore, is that there has been a tremendous inflow of cases at the magisterial level involving these cases, which essentially was earlier a civil dispute and which has been now converted into a criminal dispute. I do believe it's important that when new laws are enacted, a legislative audit has to be done of the impact of the law on the existing judicial infrastructure. And if it is going to make a demand on the judicial infrastructure, we simply have to improve the judicial infrastructure which is available. Apart from this, just a couple of other things that we have done. We are using artificial intelligence for the categorization of cases, so that like cases involving similar issues can be dealt with by one court, one bench at the same time. Very recently, one of my colleagues dealt with a case involving land acquisition, where there were 750 cases which were disposed of by one single judgment. Now, that's an area where we can employ technology to ensure that cases which involve the same issue can be dealt with, clubbed, and decided and disposed of together. So a whole host of measures have been taken to promote expedition in justice, but that's work in progress.
Thank you. I look to the member just there.